An unbiased review of two of the best, well, most popular hitting mats on the market, coming to you right after this. Okay, so we're going to get started with a little review. We are in no way affiliated in any way with either of these companies that represent or build these mats. Country Club Elite, we got a very small discount but paid a lot for shipping. True Strike, we got no discount, we got free shipping, okay? So they kind of averaged out to be really close to the same as far as price, but again, we're not affiliated with any of these companies that do anything basically, especially financially. So these two mats, pretty popular with the golf community. Country Club Elites, the first one we bought. True Strike's the most recent one. So we'll kind of give you some ideas on what might be good, what might not be so good about either one. Country Club Elite, like I said, we started with, this is now a 5x8, pretty big, and we wanted something. I think it's ridiculous to sell a mat that's 3x3. Unless it's for a kid, okay? Who's 3x3 is ridiculous. So 5x8, we have plenty of space to move it around, keep from wear spots. We'll give you some close-ups. The good thing about the Country Club Elite, it's durable, okay? You can barely tell it's been used for about 3 years of use. And other strong points would be, yes, you can put a tee into the ground or the surface. So if you don't like rubber tees and all that stuff, okay, I'm going to walk off camera real quick because I forgot to bring a tee over here. Takes a tee, okay? So only about a ½ an inch though, okay? So if you're wanting something to hit irons like you would simulate off a par 3, where you probably tee the ball really low, this mat's not going to allow you to get the tee all the way into the ground, okay? So that might be a weakness. The good news about it accepting tees is that you can use tees in the mat for certain drills, like, you know, gate drills that you can't do with that True Strike. So far, durable, holds the tee, not a really long tee, or you can't put it very deep in the turf compared to real grass. Other things I would tell you about this one, a lot of complaints I read. It's just too firm on the joints. People complain about that. Personally, I think it's fine. It's never bothered me. I've never had anybody complain about it and say, oh, I can't come over there because your mat's too firm and it hurts. So everybody's got different opinions about that, okay? Durable, you can't hardly tear this thing up. That's the strong point. Other weakness with the Country Club Elite, okay, weakness or negative, whatever you want to call it. The bottom side is about as slippery as a worn out racing tire, okay? So I don't know what people do when they develop products and how they test them, but that to me would be a little bit important because this thing moves around, okay? So we've tried anti-slip mats, and they said once you build a frame, and I'm like, that's kind of a pain, right? To build an entire frame for something you've already spent a lot of money on. So that's the other negative. If you don't mind constantly, I mean like once an hour if you're using it a lot, repositioning the mat, then Country Club Elite's not going to be a problem for you. So there's kind of my ideas on that one. If anything else comes to mind, I'll throw it back in. True Strike, basically we got this because I was tired of this mat moving around. And I was like, with our setup here, don't have the screen on, but we get the line of flight on the screen to match the exact position in the studio so that people don't stand over here and look like they're swinging over there. And so we wanted something that just wasn't going to move around a lot, and this seemed to fit the bill, at least in their description, so we decided to try it. As you can tell, it's a little bit of an odd size in inches. I think it's like 50 by 41 or some strange number. I don't understand that. But it looks good. There's a sound of brushing on the Country Club, and a little different sound, okay? So this one is supposed to have, well, it does have gel technology underneath the striking surface, which this is the only striking surfaces. These other grids are standing surfaces. So that's supposed to be one of the advantages. It's supposed to be a little bit softer, so they say. And the other good news that they would market is that you can replace a section if it wears out versus having to buy the whole thing. And that's the basics on this one. Negatives, okay. Each one of these sections has square teeth. You know, this side's a section, this side's a section. They kind of interlock, okay. The problem is that you're not turning the mat upside down so you can see the bottom of the teeth, how they go in, they go like that, and they go a little bit back down like that, so it's like a U shape. There's grooves on the other side to catch the other side, which you can't see. So you're trying to pick this thing up a little bit, right, and shim it together, but you're not sure if it's locked, and then you pull it apart a little bit and you go, that's not together. So what we ended up having to do was actually pick this thing up and try to hold it up here so we could see. Well, then one end gets locked in, the other end doesn't, so we had to actually turn the thing over on its back so we could get all these sections fit together. I'm thinking, personally, I'd rather pay more money for a mat that's in one piece and go, okay, well, if I'm going to be using this mat for 3 or 4 years, I don't mind some footprints, you know, getting worn here. And if I'm going to wear this thing out in 4 years, let's wear it out. But I really don't want to have to put something together and take it apart and put it together and take it apart, unless that's your thing. So the other thing is, on the bottom, there's square grids underneath these plastic sections which support the screen. Some of these square sections have very sharp edges, which literally sliced my finger open, so I couldn't do any kind of practice or video for about a week and a half for this particular joint right here to sew itself back together. So I'd say if you're going to get this and you don't mind putting it together and being, you know, kind of a pain, then wear some gloves when you do it, because you might have the same issue I did, sharp edges. Oh, the other thing. So when I saw this in the picture, I was like, okay, this is going to be cool, because they showed it where instead of having the hitting zone in the middle, you can move it over here, right? And then you'd have more room to stand for the driver. I did not do enough fact checking to find out that that won't work with a Foresight GC2. Don't know about the other Foresight, but no, it won't work. You cannot use line of sight on your screen and then have somebody be able to comfortably stand far enough away, because they're going to be back here on the edges with their driver. So that means if you wanted this to sit over here, then you won't have enough room for the Foresight to actually sit on the mat. So then you'd have to have some kind of other platform for the Foresight to sit on, which I think that's a little bit deceiving in the marketing. So if you got a TrackMan or whatever that little popular box, SkyTrack, then sure, go ahead, get this if you don't mind putting it together. And that's kind of my gripes on this one. Oh, they say this should support 50,000 strikes or something like that. I'm like, Okay, well, if that means after 50,000 to 1, I have to take this thing apart again, I'm just going to throw it in the garbage instead of buying the insert, because this is a ludicrous pain in the rear to try to put together, to be honest with you. The good news is it seems pretty stable. I don't think it's moved hardly at all since we've used it. And the strike surface feels pretty good. It doesn't feel bizarre. So we'll probably do some further testing, you know, one versus the other. But that's a very non-scientific, personalized view of two different mats. They're both pretty expensive. Both have some weaknesses. Both have some kind of cool points. Just depends on, I think, if it's something you're not going to move around, you don't want it to move, and you don't mind fighting with it, then get the True Strike. It's a little bit softer, cushiony feel. Don't expect to be able to have the strike surface over here if you're going to use a driver with a foresight. So basically we have to use the non-strike surface with a driver and edge this thing all the way back for driver. But otherwise, some advantages. Yes, Country Club Elite for some people is pretty firm. I think it's okay, but the best thing I could tell you to do would be to buy a sample from them and hit some shots off of it before you invest. Again, both of these are quite expensive, right? And so these are things you probably won't hear on another channel, but I wanted to give you kind of an honest evaluation of some experience with both of them so that you can make your own decision, okay?